Hey guys, so we're starting to find some real winners on the Amazon platform now that you know where to find these specific products. But now we're stuck with the challenge of how do we differentiate these? Like we mentioned before, we don't want to do what everybody else is doing. We don't want to do the felt letterboards. We don't want to do the mandolin slicers. We don't want to do the manual coffee grinders because everybody else is going to do it. So what we're going to do is try to find different ways to differentiate products that are going to basically increase the perceived value and increase the longevity of your listing. So one key mantra that I really love is do what others don't want to do. So people don't want to think really hard and come up with creative ways of bundling or changing the product because it requires a lot more work than just buying exactly what the manufacturer has and what everybody else did. So again, we want to take the kind of contrarian approach and see how we can be creative in terms of merchandising these products. Because again, at the end of the day, that is what's going to create, your product being visible amongst everybody else. So first, one of the simplest ways of doing it is with quantities or different packs. So for instance, if it makes sense and everybody's selling one, you can sell two. Or if everybody's selling 10, you can sell 15. And what you're doing is you're increasing the perceived value, which is great. But then also you're helping lower your FBA fees as an entire order because you're not going to have to pay the pick and pack fees again for that specific product if it's a larger quantity. But again, this is easy. A lot of people are going to do it after you. It's not going to be necessarily the best way of merchandising, but it's good. Next is bundling it with a complementary product. So again, this increases the perceived value. But the main thing is that you need to do something that makes sense. Like you don't want to do like hot sauce and kitchen knives. No one's going to buy that as a unit. But what this does do is that it makes it harder to replicate. And then you're less likely to get margin compression because less people are going to compete on the specific listing. And then like I mentioned before, with the higher quantity pack, you're going to lower your FBA fees relative to the selling price because it's only going to be incremental. So here's one good example of bundling. So I've never heard of this brand, but what they did is they bundled a battery pack with an iPhone cable. I know that I personally, all the time, I have to buy both. And so by including it in one package, and this is probably the price of most normal portable chargers, you're actually making it really convenient for the customer to not have to buy two separate items and then pay for the shipping for both items. I think this is a really, really smart way of differentiating that I haven't seen as often. Okay, so now you want to bundle a product. So we're going to come up with the bundling ideas. So on most listings, there's a frequently bought section here. And this is perfect because Amazon is actually giving you their real data on, for this specific set of spatulas, that these are the items that they are frequently purchased together. So mixing bowls, whether metal or glass, it seems like they're often sold together. So this is a really smart way of actually bundling maybe spatulas with mixing bowls. Another cool place to get inspiration is called yasiv.com. So the link is down here below. But basically what this does is it creates kind of a mind map or like a web, if you will, of all these different products. So you can see the kind of like silicone gloves with the tongs. And again, this is like a pretty saturated category, but depending on what niche you're using, this could be a creative way of coming up with an idea. Like you could maybe do like a beginner's kitchen set and then have spatulas and gloves and mats and things like that, and that might do well. I mean, it's definitely a risk, but these are different ideas and different places where you can come up with different places to get kind of inspiration. Next, so you can do color differentiation. So if everybody's selling like a black iPhone cable, then you can kind of come in with a white one. But you could also do things like multicolor sets. So kind of going back to the spatula example, is if everyone else is selling these kind of gray or just like solid color ones, one cool way of differentiating is doing all color sets. And then so every single one is a different color. It definitely stands out as a listing and you're going to get a percentage of those sales. So we kind of covered this a little bit before in terms of features, but you want to look at the 2, 3, and 4-star reviews and basically look at the very critical feedback, not necessarily the ones that are just ripping the product apart, but you want to find the ones that are giving like constructive criticism and saying like, hey, this is what I wish the product had, or this is like where it kind of fell apart. And then you can take notes of those features. And then again, you really want to save that list so that when we go into the sourcing chapter, you can reference that list in terms of talking to your supplier and making sure that those are addressed. And then later on in the supply chain side, you're also going to have to do an inspection. And then so if you save that list again, then you know what specific criteria you want the inspection company to test for. So it's really, really important that you save that kind of work for the future. Sizing. So this is actually one of the most creative ways that I've seen somebody differentiate their product that one of our students did. And so every product in the category was basically an oversized product. And oversized products have higher shipping fees than standard size. And so basically it was kind of like a mat. And what they did was they were able to find a way to get the manufacturer to sew a seam in the middle. And so basically what was like, I think like a 24-inch long product in the beginning, they were able to fold it and then it became around 12 inches. And so what that happened is that it actually moved the product from oversized to actually standard size, and then it actually lowered the FBA fees. And so this is a super creative way of differentiating their product now that they can market it as a foldable product, and it's going to be way harder for competition to follow after you.